There's a lot in the juice box of gamers that you could suck out.
Huh? Kaboom!
Steam is succeeding too much. And that upsets other companies that don't do as good as Steam. Because they feel like that's not fair. They did nothing and won. So let's hear about it.
Every time these CEOs open their mouths, the only thing that spews forth is platitudes, nonsense, and a severe misunderstanding of not only their customers, but just video games as a baseline. We have Microsoft CEO coming out talking about how video game companies are no longer competing against one another. No, instead they're competing against TikTok. And the only way to be able to compete is with better margins. Why are you guys like this? I swear, the video game industry and video games are so easy to figure out. Just make better games. And I'm sure there's
Yeah, but they don't want to do that. They're into games in the first place because they want the monetary value.
To be some people that are going to say, LD, it's not that easy. And to which I respond, well, then you shouldn't be making video games.
Yeah, the problem is they want to do something like quickly and monetize the same. They want to like Control-C, Control-V the game market, but they don't want to take the time to actually like listen to what gamers want half the time.
Make a game that is good enough that I can't put it down. That means I can't pick up my phone. Then we have Amazon out here lamenting their long-awaited exit from the games industry, tail between their legs, revealing that their
didn't like New World fail recently? Didn't they finally shut down New World servers? Man,
15-year-long plan of buying a game platform, of building these studios and making games, of buying Twitch, all of it was to fuel their ambition to take down Steam by buying them out of the industry.
That's not really gonna work unless you really want to spend time making a site by gamers for gamers. See, this is the problem, is that like the average business Andy just sees the dollar signs that Steam has and doesn't understand that it's not just something you could just do without like caring about your user base.
While they're failing, nobody's learning any of the lessons that need to be learned from any of this. So today, we're going to be talking about just how deluded these CEOs are and how little they actually think about or care about the games that are being made or the customers that they're supposed to be serving.
Yeah. See, this is exactly what I was saying. Is that basically they don't, like, to me, if you can't understand why people don't use your platform or why they're using something over your platform, then like you're probably not a gamer, because like as a gamer you could understand what Steam offers that other programs don't, right? You know, because you can't just be like, I just want to make the money that Steam does. You have to be like, I want to offer a product just as good as Steam is, or I think I can add like another product that is also needed.
Steam still does nothing and comes out on top. And how one dirty little book. But before that, I heard that you were having trouble finding gifts for this holiday season, and it just so happens I got your back. You ever seen a pen do this? Today's video is sponsored by Novium, the creators of the Hover Pen Interstellar, a pen that literally floats in midair. No tricks, no electricity, just precision-engineered magnets keeping it suspended like it's something out of a sci-fi movie. It's made from aerospace-grade aluminum. It feels great to write with, and it looks insane on my desk.
It wibbles and wobbles and it never falls down.
Interstellar even won the Time Award for innovation, and there's a premium version with an actual meteorite embedded in the tip, meaning that you can hold something that is older than the Earth itself. It comes in colors like space black, Neptune blue, and Mars magma, and the packaging alone makes it the perfect gift for yourself or anyone else.
Fancy spinning pen, fancy.
That appreciates something a little different. If you prefer something a little bit more customizable, check out the Hover Pen Future, which lets you switch between a fountain pen or a rollerball tip, still keeping that same futuristic design.
Even
right
more
now, you can
fancy.
Get 15% off of all Hover Pens for the next 48 hours and 10% after that with free shipping worldwide. Use my code LEGENDARY or click the link in the description or pinned comment. You can also use the QR code on screen to go straight to the website with the discount automatically applied.
I think in the way that he said it too, like, hey, this could be a really cool like gift, like a Christmas gift, right? Because like I feel like finding like fun, interesting Christmas gifts, it's always like a struggle for people most years. I don't know. I always struggle to find something my dad will like that I haven't already gotten him.
Thank you to Novium for sponsoring today's video. For a while now, I've been wondering, contemplating why we have seen such a sharp decline in quality from AAA games. Where a lot of these harebrained decisions are coming from, how quickly this industry has just been carved up, commodified, part and parcel. It just feels like every single move is being made to just make things that much more worse. And I've been trying to just track this mindset down, get a finger on it, and I kept hearing about this book that's titled Press Play, Why Every Company Needs a Gaming Strategy. And it came out this year, and it's been endorsed by multiple brands, most notably by Xbox. And this book is crazy. The whole entire thing is basically a corporate
people don't even really read anymore, but must be a good enough book that some people cite it now.
Handbook about how more companies need to get involved in gaming, not to make games, but to fuel their revenue, drive engagement, and to monetize attention in the digital age.
No. Yeah, if you do that, guaranteed, you will fuck yourself over because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. No. What do you want to make first? What do you want to make?
I haven't even finished this book yet.
Yeah, what are you going to add to the gaming space?
But the opening chapter of it just tells you everything that you need to know. They start by celebrating Burberry and Balenciaga for selling cosmetics in crypto games.
Oh my lord. No, like, see, it's all about money first and games second.
Framed the decline of cable television as an opportunity to be able to keep consumers constantly engaged with brand content through interactive worlds and video games. And they actually claim that this is why Microsoft doubled down on gaming, and it's why they spent nearly $70 billion buying Activision Blizzard back in 2023. But not once, not a single time do they ever describe players as anything other than consumers, these flocks that need
they're like, hey, look, it's a piñata filled with money. You know, it's like, oh, look, as a vampire that wants to suck the income out of people, there's a lot in the juice box of gamers that you could suck out.
To be herded towards more ads, more spending, and more manipulation. There's no talk about why people play, what they enjoy, or what makes the experience.
Don't worry. All of these things and how you talk is exactly what a gamer could smell, is like the stinkiest of farts, and deters them from any game you make.
Experience worthwhile because, well, that's just not the concern anymore. Not for these executives, and I think that we can see that mindset perfectly reflected in Microsoft's own CEO, Satya Nadella.
So to us, the way we are thinking about gaming is, first of all, now we're the largest publisher after the Activision. So therefore, we want to be a fantastic publisher, similar approach to what we did with Office. We're going to be everywhere in every platform. But most importantly, the game business model has to be where we have to invent maybe some new interactive media as well. Because after all...
Bro, he said everything but video games himself. Did you guys notice that? He said he wanted to be a publisher. He said he wanted to be involved in interactive media. He didn't say anything about any type of game that he's excited about. Because he doesn't care about the gaming part. He only cares about the business part. It's all in the language.
Oh, the gaming's competition is not other gaming. Gaming's competition is short-form video. Yeah. And so if we as an industry don't continue to innovate...
Sorry, what is your game about? What game are you passionately creating or want to be a part of? Oh, none of it? You just want to be everything around a game that makes money?
Both how we produce, what we produce, how we think about distribution, the economic model, right? Best way to innovate is to have good margins. Yeah, because that's the way you can fund.
Sorry, what kind of game do you make? What kind of games are you involved in?
Not competing with other game companies. Now, that is a strategy. It's not one that I'd recommend to anybody else, but it does make a lot of sense coming from the premier publisher of some of the most I'll pick it up on sale games in the industry. When you stop competing with the rest of the industry, your priorities shift and your quality shifts with it. I cannot be the only one that looks at nearly every new Xbox release and says, yeah, that's a video game, instead of saying, damn, that's something I need to play. How exactly does that fit into your business strategy? And the part that really gets me is when he starts talking about treating Xbox the same way that they treated Office. What? The Office business is sustained by other businesses and institutions, not individuals. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right? Is he is interested in everything but the gaming part, because he thinks he could just do everything around it. And because games are just inherently successful because other people have created them and made money, he just doesn't actually need to make the game part.
Single person that uses Office at home. Most people are using Google Docs, Notion, or Obsidian. The entire model relies on corporate licensing, not customer loyalty, and trying to apply that thinking to video games just proves how disconnected this leadership is. Their focus is completely shifted. Instead of building great games, they're out here trying to make sure that every single screen can run some version of their ecosystem. It's all about service expansion, tiered access, add-ons, subscription padding, more studios to be able to feed that pipeline, and cuts anywhere that do not serve that loop. When you're
See, what I want to ask one of these guys every time when they get into all this mumbo jumbo is like, all right, Mr. Billy Bob of the video gamer, what games have you played? What was your favorite part about them? I bet you they can't answer that. I bet you they can answer everything in the world around business, but they can't answer, like, those people they're competing with. Have they ever played that game and know why people like that game?
not competing with
Probably
other
not.
studios, you are no longer competing on quality. And when you're competing with social media, all you're really doing is chasing engagement. And if your content isn't any good, well, neither is your engagement.
Yep.
Bro, just get it over with already. This is the slowest, most painful exit I have ever seen. Their next console isn't even a console. It's a hybrid console PC, reportedly
What?
shipping with Steam already integrated, which
Wait, what in the shit is this? I haven't heard about that. That is so weird. That is so weird.
from a hardware standpoint, sure, that sounds fine, a mid-range build for people that want to get easier access into PC gaming, but it completely kills the point of Xbox as a
Just buy a PC then. I don't even use console.
platform. If Xbox games are already on Steam and Steam is going to be included with the console, then what exactly is Xbox supposed to be?
Yeah,
Steam
what?
winning yet again by doing nothing. I am just so
I was gonna say Steam just made a console and it's just good, and people just like it. I don't know. At least compared to what I've seen other like PlayStation or Xbox launches, it's like I feel like they were just kind of like, yeah, we're doing this. It's gonna be great, and they still continue to sell them, and that's just it.
so tired of the circle that these guys speak in. We're competing with the attention economy. We need better margins. No, you need better games. You want people's attention? Make something that we can't put down. Tons of developers are already doing this by creating something that nobody else has made or by building a culture of quality that earns loyalty. Tell me how you're competing with the attention economy when the next From Software game comes out. Tell me how
Yeah.
that works with the next Larian project that's going to drop. When Sandfall does it, there are studios that are out there that are commanding attention because they deserve it. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. Most players have hundreds of hours in that game. It's a single player game with no new content in 2 years, and it is still pulling 70,000 concurrent players on Steam.
Yeah, the thing is before even Baldur's Gate, when they became big, they made Divinity Original Sin, and that game was also really well made, even though it only had a niche audience. Like they were doing it for the love of making games way before they came out with Baldur's Gate, which had like a lot of the same things that Divinity did, but just like added even more on top of that.
They act like we don't on a monthly basis see multiple games break through and find massive audiences. Oh, maybe that's because those games are half the price and actually worth our fucking time.
Yeah, but here's the thing too, right? Like along with what he's saying, it's like if you use Larian as an example, they didn't like their first game was not as popular. Like Divinity Original Sin was not nearly as popular as Baldur's Gate, but it was really well made. It still holds up really well. It's like they were making these games regardless of whether they were really profitable, and it wasn't until this game, and I'm pretty sure they had they had Divinity's Original Sin 1 and 2, and I think they might have made a game before that. I don't actually know. But like they had games that weren't as popular their first and second go. That's the other thing is a lot of times these companies like they want to the first game they put down, they have no patience because they just want to like impress investors. So like they would have taken something like Divinity Original Sin before Baldur's Gate came out, and they would have just been like, "Oh, it didn't reach the margins. We wanted to reach top margins our first year." They're like too impatient to even improve on like their recipe, right? Because almost no like game gets it right the first time.
Then he goes on to say the best way to compete with short form content is by having better margins. Right, because nothing screams great games like an arbitrary 30% profit target. A number
Yes.
that is so divorced from reality, by the way, that it doesn't even exist in this industry. Most of these publishers are operating on razor thin margins. Nintendo floats around 20% on a good year. PlayStation's under 10. The only company
Yep.
that I know of that's around 30% is probably Valve, and that comparison is a joke. Valve is a platform that makes games as a hobby. Xbox is a platform that needs games to survive. You
Yep.
cannot hold yourself to that same metric without destroying everything that makes this medium work. And of course, That's exactly what's happening. The only way that Xbox can sniff 30% margins is by gutting itself from the inside out, raising prices, laying off workers, cutting corners, and shoving unfinished games through the door to be able to save a quarter's worth of costs. Since 2024, they have laid off over 10,000 employees. Xbox Game Pass has risen in prices. They delayed the $80 price hike, but that's still going to be coming. They've slowed down their console production because their sales are down nearly 30% year over year. And Outer Worlds 2 somehow launched with worse optimization than Borderlands 4, which honestly is...
See, I feel like the problem is that they just want more and more profit every single time. They think so much about the business end and profits that they like forget that they actually have to make a good thing.
is a feat in and of itself. And for what? What is any of this for? It's definitely not for the players. We don't even respect the Xbox brand anymore. Nearly every major release under their umbrella has underperformed or just vanished within weeks. The only real success that I think that they've had is the Oblivion remake, but that doesn't even count in my eyes because that was a third party that made that game.
Yep.
This is what happens when you stop caring about
like literally Oblivion did as good as it did because they hired another party of people that was really passionate about it. And they were just like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah, you do that. We'll give you money to do that. That's really good. You know?
competition, when you stop caring about the games, when you start treating your audience like a reoccurring revenue stream, you turn one of the most creative industries on earth into a soulless factory, predictable, devoid of life, safe, and still somehow failing. I hope that you...
by the way, I also think that you should care about money. I don't think it's realistic to say that none of the game devs care about money, right? Even indie devs, it's what keeps them afloat. It's what, but the problem is that you want money first, game second. Whereas game devs, like actual passionate people, want the money to be able to have the means to keep creating things for their passion project, right? It's like their passion is the game. The money helps make that passion feasible. Whereas like these companies see the money that these passionate people are making and they see the money first and they don't, they can't crack the code because they don't care about the games to begin with. You see what I mean?
guys realize that none of this actually matters to these guys. None of this even interests them. That book that I mentioned earlier, Press Play, that's the playbook. That's the only thing that these guys care about right now. The opportunity that represents. Other industries, and more importantly, advertisers, are salivating at the mouth, desperate to sink their claws into gaming because they see it as the ultimate frontier, a space where they can feed you product placement and advertisements for hundreds of hours at a time. Who needs a 30-minute TV slot when you can instead just live inside of an ad? And they're not even being subtle about it. Juice Van Duren, a business analyst and industry insider, said it outright. With Game Pass growth slowing down and regulators closing...
Oh my God. Ah! Hey God, sorry. Apparently my phone just like shut off. I love tech issues I can't fix.
Closing in on microtransactions, publishers are now pivoting towards advertising as their new cash flow. Zynga and Square Enix are already partnering with Gadsby to be able to inject ads directly into their mobile titles. And according to the New York Times, Xbox employees are now testing an ad-supported version of their cloud gaming service. That's the off-ramp. That's where they're headed now, away from creativity, away from quality, straight towards a world where the goal isn't to make better games. It's to make you stay long enough to be able to sell you something else. These guys aren't wrong that they're competing with social media. That's true for every single entertainment platform and format that's out there right now. There are hundreds of billions, if not trillions of hours being spent doom scrolling social media. You guys sit here and watch me for 20 plus minutes talking about video games, ranting about video games. But the solution...
Yeah, but he's not trying to, like, the difference is he's not trying to, like, shove his values or his words or his reacts or like the agenda he has or the money he wants to make like on a video game, you know? Like he's not making a video game with the purpose of doing this. That's like the entire problem of it.
To that problem is not more services. And I can definitely tell you it's not more advertising. It's just make better products, make better games, make something that grabs people's attention.
I see. My problem is I think they don't care for like what vehicle they're using. That's why you see like a bunch of games that like seem like they're like performatively tell like a sob story or preach something and it comes off really bad. It's because it's like, well, it probably would have been fine if the person actually cared about the thing they're talking about, right? But it's like they basically decide like which media source or whatever is making the most money with the demographic of people they want. You know, they just see a line go up and they're like, I want to make whatever that is. You don't even understand like why these people will spend money and time on these things when you do that.
But seeing that Xbox is a company that largely has been making games that nobody's really all that interested in, they're just going to fail in all of their ambitions. You know, I don't even think that these guys are even talking about the attention economy, even though that's the discussion that they have and that's what they're kind of talking about. I think what they're really focused on is the indirect revenue that they could be making off of advertising.
Yep,
they are looking at the social media companies. So when they say we're competing with these social media companies, they're talking about how these guys have super low headcounts, barely do nothing, and all of their money is made through advertising. They see that and they want it. I think that back in 2024, ad spend was some odd $1 trillion or over $1 trillion. They want a piece of that pie. And
and you see this really obviously when everybody saw Fortnite was having huge success and suddenly everybody wanted to make a game that was like Fortnite. And it was all ass because none of them actually cared about these games or probably ever even played Fortnite or knew why Fortnite was successful. They were just like, we see Fortnite has a really big number in the charts, so we would like to also create a Fortnite and make the money.
Advertisers want access to this industry, and that is a terrible combination to have together. I don't think that it's going to work. Personally, I just don't see it happening because maybe it'll work in some spaces, but with the declining quality of AAA games and the increase in competition that we're seeing from independents, most people are just going to turn and go in another direction. Why do you think I would want to sit around and watch ads in a video game, let alone pay for a game that would have advertisements in it?
Well, yeah, you pay for a game and then you're not going to pay for a game just to have them promote other things for you to, you know, that they want you to buy, and they're like, no.
I could maybe see that kind of thing working in the free-to-play space.
Sure.
But chances are that's way too narrow for the kind of money that these guys want to make. That's not what they want. They want it everywhere. They want to hold nothing sacred. Notice how this conversation has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with video games or even really video games as a business. It's just musings of these executives and their plans for the consumers and how they plan to usher them towards more sales and more revenue streams. And in that ambition, I just don't think that these guys understand anything. I think that they are so blinded by a veil of cash over their eyes that they can't see anything past the opportunities and are completely ignoring how this industry works, why we want to play these games, or what we're actually interested in. And I think that that is a recipe for disaster. And the funny thing is it's one that's already played out. I have a tendency to forget that Amazon is even involved in the games industry outside of Luna, their failed version of the already failed Google Stadia, and Twitch, their streaming platform that's basically running on fumes at this point thanks to poor moderation and even worse management. Twitch has mostly just become a haven for botted views, debauchery, dog shocking, and manipulation at this point. But
okay, we don't need to talk about that. I was trying to dissociate from that fact. Streaming live on it right now, okay? Okay? Calm down, Legendary Drops. Calm down.
Amazon has made and published games. Heck, they even have their own storefront built right into the Amazon website. And if you've ever clicked it, you'll find...
Wait, did they really? Like, I know Amazon has, like, games, but, like, where is this exactly? This is, like, in the... This is in the store.
They even have their own storefront built right into the Amazon website. And if you've ever...
Where is it? Oh, you can't get to it via Twitch anymore, but on Amazon? Okay, I never even knew about it. It's all just mobile games, right? That's so weird. I've never even heard of this before.
If you clicked it, you'll find Jackbox sitting next to Rope Hero Combat Spider Battle. Naughty Schoolboy
is... so this is all Prime gaming? But this is not very Prime. This is not very Prime catalog.
Escape, Breaking the Chains, and My Spa Salon Massage Simulator 3D.
I beg your pardon?
Oops, sorry. No, wrong Amazon Game Store. Turns out that's the games and app store. If you want premium titles, then you need to actually specifically search digital games, and you'll get a listing of the games that you can buy, but not actually play through Amazon. You have to launch those through their publisher's own platform.
Oh, that's
weird.
Maybe
you can actually use them in the Amazon Games app, which is another service that they have that has 5 games that I've never heard of and no search functionality. But you can buy games from the Amazon store's website.
Yeah, the fact that they, like, I just only heard about these today and I don't even understand what's going on there tells you about how well that investment went.
And then load them into the Amazon Games app, and then you can play them. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Do they not realize how stupid that is? Why
Yeah,
would
yeah.
anybody do that when you could just go buy those games directly from those
True.
platforms, or
Yeah,
better
yeah.
yet, from Steam? And exactly, that's why nobody uses it. 15 years of Amazon in the games business, and they didn't want to let players search for games in their own app because, well, that means that you would not go to their website where they could just sell you other stuff. Now,
What?
Amazon's foray into the gaming space has never
So it literally is shooting them in the foot because if it actually worked, it would be worse than if it didn't work? Oh my, okay.
been about players or games.
Holy Ouroboros fuckery.
Or even convenience for that matter. It has always been about corporate aspirations trying to corner yet another market through sheer spending power and apparently also their incompetence. An approach, by the way, that has failed spectacularly, from their publishing efforts collapsing to their near inevitable exit from the space. Amazon has proven time and time again that you cannot buy your way into video games. Bless their little hearts. Amazon's failure is not something that has happened suddenly. This is something that's been going on for years. It's been years in the making. Back in 2016, they had took to the stage at TwitchCon to announce that they were supposedly going to be making their grand entrance into big budget video game development with games like Breakaway, Crucible, and New World.
Yep.
3 projects that were meant to prove that Amazon could stand alongside some of the industry giants. And instead, well, each one of those games ended up crashing harder than the last. Breakaway was quietly canceled after a lifeless alpha. Crucible actually launched, but then was unlaunched a month later, and then
I was gonna say, I haven't even heard about anything but New World. I didn't even know about these other games.
deleted from history. And New World was the latest one and the best one, and it lasted the longest. People thought it might actually work, and then it slowly bled out, and Amazon finally ended development altogether. That's kind of always been the pattern with these guys. It's a lot of big talk, poor execution, a lot of money
Yep.
wasted, and a lot of messy endings. And it's defined Amazon's entire history in games. After nearly a decade of trying, all they've really accomplished is, well, nothing. And the craziest part is that none of this was ever about making games or video games themselves. Yes, the act of making games was never for the purpose of making games. Their entire plan was to disrupt Steam. That's what former Prime Gaming VP Ethan Evans had admitted earlier this year, that their entire goal was to take down Valve's platform, and their reasoning: we're bigger and we can do it. Reading
Yep.
Ethan Evans' post.
To be fair, it took Steam about 10 years before it was really popular. Yeah, but okay. Even when Steam wasn't as popular as it is, did it have something to offer for gamers? Was it ever at any point in opposition to the same people that they want to sell things to? But that's like what I would ask myself, right? Like, cause maybe you could say, well, Amazon stands a chance if Steam wasn't as good as it used to be, or like, you know what I mean? They used to like bump some of the users the wrong way. But if it always was like of value to gamers, even if it was a smaller amount of gamers at the time, you know what I mean? That's the one thing Amazon doesn't have. It's not for gamers, right? Like the games it has aren't good. Its searchability isn't good. Like what is it providing? It doesn't seem like anything anybody was asking for, right? So if even when Steam started, it was smaller and it didn't offer a lot, or not very many people used it. You know what I mean? If it still had things that the people who accessed it were happy to have, then it's still doing better than Amazon is because it's serving someone. There was a lot of distrust of digital distribution and the lack of physical copies. And Steam definitely had some issues at that time. Yeah, but was that a product of them or things outside of them, right? Like maybe they struggled with like, you know, those things because of the market they were in, but I don't think they made them worse.
Post directly from LinkedIn. As VP of Prime Gaming at Amazon, we failed multiple times to disrupt the platform Steam. We were at least 250 times bigger, and we tried everything, but ultimately Goliath lost. The 15-year attempt to challenge Steam started before I was VP of Prime Gaming, but we never cracked the code, not under my leadership or anyone else's. The first way we tried to enter the online game store market was through acquisition. We acquired Reflexive Entertainment, a small PC game store, and tried to scale it. It went nowhere. Then, after buying Twitch, we created our own PC game store. Our assumption was that gamers would naturally buy from us because they were already using Twitch. Wrong. Finally, we built Luna, a game streaming service that let people play without a high-end PC. Around the same time, Google...
You know what kills me is like, isn't Twitch right now also like trying to acquire like music deals essentially, like celebrities to stream on their platform? It's like, by the way, you could still have this. You would just like, you would work more with game devs. If you worked directly with game devs, maybe you could actually have this type of thing, right? You just gotta, like, interact with people actually in the gaming space more, if that's what you want.
Google tried the same thing with Stadia.
Oh, yeah, Luna was ass from what I heard.
Neither gained significant traction. The whole time, Steam dominated despite being a relatively small company compared to Amazon and Google. The mistake was that we underestimated what made consumers use Steam. It was a store, a social network, a library, a trophy case, all in one, and it worked. At Amazon, we assumed that our size and visibility would be enough to attract customers, but we underestimated the power of existing user habits. We never validated our core assumptions before heavily investing in solutions. The truth is that gamers already had the solution to their problems, and they weren't going to switch platforms just because a new one was available.
Yeah, exactly, and also, like, when you're doing all of this, like, you're assuming like, I think what this person said is actually, like, insightful, I guess. It's like, okay, you assume size and visibility would be enough. We underestimated the power of existing user habits. It's like, why do they have those habits? If you're saying, like, "Oh, they're not gonna change to a new thing because something's working," why is that? Like, have you looked at other people who have tried to do the same things? Like, what was that storefront that was trying to like, if you downloaded a game from Steam, one of them, like, made you use another launcher? Like, so you're using 2 launchers? EA. Thank you, thank you. EA was the one I was thinking of. So the EA launcher was ass. And it's like, did you ever take a look at some of the other people who tried doing the same thing as you did and why they failed? It's like, have you not looked at it? Do you think no one else has had this idea of like, oh, if we did the same thing Steam does, but better, we'd make lots of money? Like, you can't be the person who thinks you're, like, the only person who's ever had this idea. Right? Like, that's the only thing that is impressive. It's like, do you guys just, like, tunnel vision and, like, never look for examples of when this has failed?
We needed to build something dramatically better, but we failed to do so, and we needed to validate our assumptions of our customers before starting to build, but we never really did that either. Just because you're big enough to build something doesn't mean people will use it. Man, that last line really says it all. Just because you're big enough.
I kind of respected whoever that guy is for saying that, like, outright, like, just saying, like, hey, we completely botched this, and this is why. Like, extremely self-aware for what's in their life. I don't know who that guy is, but
To build something doesn't mean people will use it. It's the most honest thing that I think I've ever heard a tech executive
yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is so honest. I wish people would do this more often.
say, and they somehow still don't understand what it means. We
tech
failed to understand
executive.
user habits. No kidding. You guys failed to understand people. You failed to understand games. You failed to understand why players are even here in the first place. And
Yeah, but that's because you don't care about it. I think that's why people don't feel sorry for you, is because they know that the only way you do this is by not caring about the thing you're making. You just want to make money from it, right? Like, you have to care about it.
I said this earlier last year. Evans was so close when he had said gamers had already found a solution. The problem is, what they don't realize is the solution that players had found was a solution to them. You are the problem we are solving. Amazon thought that they could brute force their way into the PC gaming space with money and marketing, but what they never understood is why people use Steam. It's not just a storefront, it's a platform built on trust. We trust that Steam is looking out for our best interests, and also it's pretty damn convenient. I think that Gabe Newell had a quote.
The fact, I'm sorry, I just keep interrupting, like, because I wanted to add something, but, like, you would think if you thought this was, like, a way you could make oodles of cash, right? If you cared even a little bit about this, even, it's like they're so lazy to me, right? Because, like, why don't you just try using Steam and then try using something like EA's launcher and see what the difference is? I feel like they don't even do that. Like, how lazy do you gotta be to, like, not even just try using a game launcher and try using other ones and try seeing, like, the annoyance of, like, the different launchers and what they don't provide? Like, it would literally, okay, if you guys know this, if you guys, like, most people use Steam, right? If you've ever used an EA launcher for 5 minutes, you already know why no one is competing with Steam. No one wants to move outside of Steam, okay? I am traumatized every time I have ventured off the beaten path. It is always worse.
Where he had said that the best way to beat piracy is just to provide a better service. Yet here you have Amazon putting out a storefront with 12 extra steps beyond just clicking buy and playing a game. I wonder why you failed. Valve is not some faceless corporation that's chasing quarterly growth targets. It's a company that is ran by people who actually understand the medium and the customer. When Valve is making
Yep.
changes, as long as they're not being forced by credit card holders, it almost always is in favor of the developers or the players. Keep in mind that these guys have
Yep.
banned ads in games, they've held developers to their release schedules and more. They give creators real tools. They don't nickel and dime their users at any given chance. They just treat the ecosystem like it's a living thing, not a cash register. Meanwhile,
Okay, the other thing is like you'll notice that a lot of these people, this is something else I haven't heard people really talk about. People probably do, to be fair. Uh, but like the one thing I really noticed is like a lot of these companies also are in it for like the cash out that's immediate. So like Steam could nickel and dime its users, and they would make a lot of money because of how many users are on their platform, right? But then what would happen is that they would burn long term, like they would burn trust. So like they would have maybe a lot of money up front, you know? But then like they would burn user trust, so down the line they would actually hurt themselves more than help themselves, which is why I think they always like do not take the short-term game and they always think about the long-term implication, if it makes sense.
Amazon thought that they could just buy up a storefront, buy Twitch, throw some cash at some streamers, and make some live service games that are constantly pumping engagement, and that would make them relevant. But nobody cared because it wasn't built for them. That's the one thing that these guys can't seem to get through their heads, and it's that.
And here's the other thing, right? Is like you can buy, okay, you guys have seen this, right? I could play a game right now that's sponsored. I could get paid a few $100s to play like a game for a couple days and like give it positive press, right? But like no matter what, people have their own opinion. Like maybe they would try a game that they wouldn't otherwise if I get sponsored, right? Cuz like a lot of people watch me or they value the things I do. Maybe it's a multiplayer game and I like do like playing with viewers, right? But the problem is like if it's a bad game, no big streamer is going to be able to keep the hype up, right? They'll get a lot of sales, they'll get a lot of people playing. But like it'll just burn, it'll just crash and burn. You see what I'm saying? It's like no amount of like advertising can hold a game up, you know? Like look at how good like Diablo 4 was doing. And then it crashed and burned because like the next season was ass. Because the game itself didn't hold up, you know?
That it doesn't matter how much money you have if you aren't selling something with the customer in mind. I think that this is the end of Amazon's adventure in gaming. While we've already talked about the platforms that they built and the games that they've developed, do not forget that these guys, their publishing record is the brown Midas touch of modern gaming. Lost Ark, Throne and
Yep.
Liberty, Blue Protocol, all of these games brought to the West under Amazon's banner, every single one of them disasters in their own way, inflated player counts, botted numbers, performance issues, relaunches, and suffocating monetization. Each one of them a reminder that their interest was never in the player experience, only in extraction.
Yeah, so the other thing is like you guys have seen Expedition 33 had industry people in it. People who had worked in AAA. A couple of them broke off of AAA and the small amount of them made the game. So they were indies, but they were indies with the experience of people who had done and been a part of AAA games. The thing is that there's it's not like these people who are in AAA that all of them are just bad people or that they aren't skilled or talented. It's that like these people that are making the decisions don't make the correct decisions that gamers would care about, and the people that are gamers and are passionate are honestly kind of held back by them, which is why they do better like when they just break off from the company, you know?
Honestly, I am so glad to watch these guys fail because it's the same road that Ubisoft went down. It's the one that Microsoft is already walking. The creative voice, the empathetic voice, the one that actually understands the player, has been completely replaced by executives who see art as leverage and culture as an algorithm. These companies think that they're
Exactly.
competing for attention, but what they're really competing for is patience at this point. And a lot of these guys have already burned through it. Players do not want to be managed. They want to be inspired. They want games that capture them, games that make them feel like they were meant to be played by them, spending money on a platform that is convenient and respects them. That's what players want right now. And until
By gamers for gamers. And by the way, I think a lot of the creators that are a part of these games that aren't a part of the money-making decisions, they want that too, by the way. So if they're in I don't know what to call it, like if they are in a company that uplifts these things, then it could go really well. That's like the whole point, right? But like when they are with these people that don't care about the games themselves and don't understand what makes games great, then it does like debuff them, you know? It like locks them out of their full potential, man.
These companies start to remember that, or at least realize it, until they understand that games aren't made for engagement. They're actually made for real people. They're going to keep failing one after another, and I'll keep making videos on them. It is wild for me to hear one of these executives come forward to tell people that their plan essentially had nothing to do with video games, or even players for that matter. It was all just an effort to be able to conquer Steam and hijack their revenue. This is like somebody that wants
Yep.
to coach professional sports that's never played the game or even watched it for that matter. You know nothing. You don't know anything about the game, the players,
Yep.
nothing. It's just somebody that's just trying to go through the motions and believe that they're going to get the outcome that they want just because they spent money on it. But that's just not how any of this stuff works. It's
Yeah, they're just like all cast Control C, Control V. And when I hit paste, I'm gonna also paste the amount of profits they get. It'll be so easy. Why isn't it working?
faking it till you make it at a corporate level. I told you guys, they have no idea what they're doing in some of these companies. Nobody wants to listen to me. Now thinking about it, he laid out their entire plan. Twitch was a part of that plan. Looking at that platform, with as many issues as that platform has, it's not profitable. Its moderation is terrible. It's constantly in negative headlines all of the time. Why would you hold on to that platform anymore? I feel like we're probably going to be hearing some news on that pretty soon, especially with a lot of the layoffs that I've seen them have, especially with
Yeah, it scares me too, being somebody who live streams on the platform. It makes me sad because I'm hoping that if that does oh my god, I have the perfect freeze frame. Look at this. This is my mental state right now. Yeah, that's about explains how I feel internally every time I see a Twitch headline. That's about it right there. Yeah, it's like buying Twitch is like buying a terrible secondhand car. And like people would look at that like, why do you want that secondhand car when they could just make their own? If I remember correctly, Steam already has a streaming infrastructure. Bro, I'm telling you guys, Steam has such a good reputation. If Steam launched a streaming platform today, everyone would move there. I'm telling you. Like they have such good press over anybody else right now, over like YouTube, over Kick, obviously. Like people would just jump, I think. Because they already have a direct line to gamers too. Imagine, okay, like okay, I'm sucking the hopium copium because it probably wouldn't happen anyway. But like, could you imagine we could actually have like let's plays again because like all the gamers on the platform could subscribe to you like through that service. Oh yeah, the game integration would be so good. That'd be so good.
when a lot of those layoffs are coming from key leadership as well. But I can't imagine they're going to hold on to the company. I just don't see it. I mean, I could maybe make the argument that it's a loss leader for Amazon Web Services. I think I've heard Asmongold make that argument before, but
Yep.
with how politicized and polarized that website has become, there's no way it's only going to have a negative effect anymore. It's funny that Amazon talks about how they were trying to compete with Steam, but these guys never.
I had no idea that was their game plan. Did you guys know about that? I didn't even know this was a thing until he mentioned it. I had no idea. I thought they just wanted to like okay. Like I knew they were interested in gamers, right? Like I know I wasn't that like I understand that. But I didn't know they actually wanted to somehow compete as like a selling platform for digital items. They don't even really sell digital items.
Never understood or learned the golden rule. Steam is not an angel, okay? They do some heinous stuff. CS skins, as an example, an entire microtransaction ecosystem that has its own economy that's attached to it, to the likes that nobody has ever seen before. But they never compromise the quality of their games or the convenience and quality of the service. You never do that. And
Yep.
that's what these guys make sure that they never do. This is sales 101. You can pull some heinous stuff. You can do some gnarly things to customers. You can drain their wallets, but the
Yeah.
product and the service always come first. If the quality
Yeah. So like for example, let's take like Uma Musume. Uma Musume is a Gamba game. It's doing really well. Why? Because it knows its viewer base. Even though it is a pay to win gotcha game, it knows its audience. It knows what the viewer base wants in order to get that money.
Isn't there if you aren't selling them what they're there to buy, the rest falls apart. These guys have lost sight of that. That's their biggest problem. And they're blinded by money. And because they're blinded by money and these other opportunities, it's made it more difficult for them to make money. You know, looking at Xbox's situation, if Xbox was making Arc Raiders, if they made Expedition 33, if they made Baldur's Gate 3 or Elden Ring, do you guys think that these guys, do you think anybody would be complaining about increasing prices? Do you think anybody would be, do you think they would have a hard time selling their consoles? Do you think that they would have any problems with holding attention with the attention economy?
Yeah, for sure.
These guys are so stupid.
They are.
Anyway, that's all I have. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. These are like some of my favorite topics to be able to cover. I love just rolling all over these guys. But follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. And catch me in the next one. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Yes. Anyways, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. Legendary Drops. He always has very good, insightful videos.